If you're feeling like you're always unmotivated, you're not alone. Surveys show that a majority of adults have no interest in doing the things they do, and over 40% of them have little to no motivation to get their daily tasks done. But for you and me, the problem is not with the what that we do in our day, it's what we tell ourselves and how we believe so many different myths about motivation, which is what we'll debunk in this video. The Walton Family Foundation did a study on what Gen Z believes about the tasks that they do, and even the most accomplished of the group, bachelor's degrees or higher, had 44% of them say they don't do anything interesting in their day, with a third of them disagreeing that the things they do are important. For those with some more regular form of education, like college graduates and the like, 40% of them don't believe the things they do are important. And when over half of high school graduates believe not only do they not do anything interesting during their day, but that they don't feel motivated to go to college or work, you have to wonder, what are these myths that you and I are believing about ourselves that are holding us back? The first myth we believe is that I don't feel like doing it because I'm not prepared as much as I should be. And I feel this because maybe you've heard the Kobe Bryant quote that talks about, oh, I'm not nervous. Why would I be nervous? If I'm nervous, that means that I haven't prepared adequately enough. And I totally understand that perspective of thinking. You want to feel as ready as possible before you dive in. But at some point before you dive into a task, there's only a certain amount of preparation you can do before it just starts to become information overload and paralyzing yourself through analysis paralysis. At some point, you gotta just take action and dive. And you've probably heard this a lot somewhere, action cures fear. It really does. You have to understand that baseline of where preparation is good enough, but then you don't want to teeter over that line of, okay, now I'm just filling myself with information just to make myself feel better about not diving in because I want to know as much as possible. I didn't know much about creating this YouTube channel. I didn't know much about putting a face behind a YouTube channel because I'd done YouTube before, but I never put myself out there on any social media platform like this. And look at that, we're already 20 videos in. So at some point, you got to just dive and understand that preparation is good, but understand when it's time to stop preparing and start taking action. The second myth we believe is that successful people just have something that I don't. But most successful people didn't start with talent, resources, or confidence. They started with action, which cured fear, and they built everything else along the way. Matter of fact, there's a Bible verse about that you can meditate on, 2 Corinthians 9:10. Now, he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. Basically saying God is the same person who supplies you with seed. You are the sower. He supplies you with the seed, and he increases your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness, meaning that if you actually put your seed to use, if you actually put it to work and put it towards something that will eventually produce a fruit, he is going to enlarge the harvest of your righteousness and your diligence with the sowing of the seed. Successful people aren't just so much different than you and I are. They just happen to use the resources that they started with to build what they have now. So all you got to do, find the resources that you have, find everything that's at your disposal if you want to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, and get to it, because God's going to reward your righteousness if you continually apply yourself to whatever it is. The third myth we believe about our motivation is that I'm just not disciplined enough to be successful. But again, it's one of those things you're not born with it. It can be trained. Just like a lot of people have this myth that mental strength or mental resilience is something that only the elites have. I'm not sure I have that. Matter of fact, here's again my favorite athlete of all time, Novak Djokovic, talking about that very thing that is trainable, actually, and it's not just a gift.
Mental strength, which is what I think is your great gift, is much harder to articulate.
I would have to correct you. I have to correct you. It's not a gift. It's something that comes with work.
You train for the mental side the way you would your serve or your forehand. How?
There are different techniques. Conscious breathing is a big part, especially in the moments when you're under tension.
I think a lot of people think, oh, in the moment, Novak's so locked in. You're saying this is all part of a process.
The same thing can be applied with being disciplined. The key is reducing friction, making it easier to start, and focusing on small, consistent habits and small, consistent wins, rather than just forcing discipline through sheer willpower. Eliminate as much as possible all the things that are blockages in your way to success, and prime your environments, as Atomic Habits talks about, prime your environments for success. That the first thing you do when you enter this environment is, all right, straight to work, and not just, scrolling and distractions, and all of a sudden you've lost the day. The fourth myth we believe about ourselves and motivation is, I've already wasted so much time, so it's too late for me. Remember the same people who said that about Bitcoin when it was at single digits, thousands of dollars, tens, 20s, 50, 60, even 80K? Well, now it's at 100K. And it's as if you needed any more than just that. Martha Stewart didn't start her cooking and homemaking empire until she started her catering business in her 40s. Stan Lee, MCU creator, didn't write his first comic until he was nearly 40. Colonel Sanders, KFC guy, didn't start it until he was 62. It's all about when you start, all right? I mean, again, another cliche quote maybe. The best time was yesterday, the second best time is today. It still rings true, and all these things that we think are cliche, or all these examples about people like it's not too late, it really is not too late. It's all about when you decide to cure your inaction by just doing it, then you're going to see the benefits. And time again, what I've heard from watching and reading about successful people is after they're over the hill of success, they're like, why didn't I start earlier? Don't let that be you, my friend. The fifth myth we believe is that I'm just not passionate about anything, but in reality, passion follows effort, not the other way around. Be passionate about the becoming of the person that you want to become. Again, set habit systems. I have a video about that you can check up here, but habit systems instead of just far out goals. In addition to far out goals, rather, set habit systems that reward you for the becoming of the person, that reward you for continually saying yes to the process, and then the process is going to love you back in the end. Find the intersection of your passion and your proficiency. Take time to think about what those two things are. For me, for example, my passion was not only just playing sports and being active, but enjoying watching sports, tennis, football, basketball. My proficiency, using a computer, using editing software to edit random school projects that were not even video projects at all, but I would just turn them into videos and turn them in for a grade. They always got hundreds, by the way. But that was my proficiency, video editing and things of that nature. My passion was sports and watching them. So the intersection right around here was edit stuff about sports. And so I did one random spring, and some of the videos caught fire. One of the videos really caught fire. You can hear I talk about that and how I made my first 10K up there. But if you don't feel like you're passionate about anything, just find those two things, find the overlap, and see what happens. The sixth myth we believe about ourselves: I'm just not that guy. Stop being self-depreciating, brother and sister. Even the Bible says you shouldn't do that. Here are some verses. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. 2 Corinthians 10:5, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Those thoughts that have you as some lesser than person, those are not under the obedience of Christ, because you are made in his image. Remember that. Finally, brothers and sisters, Philippians 4:8, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Reality is what you make it. Manifest it. It's in the Bible. What you think about, you will be. As a man thinketh, so is he. So believe you're that guy and let your actions flow from that. Believe you're that girl and let what you do flow from that. Be sure to comment below some of your takeaways from this video, what stood out to you the most, and be sure to like the video and subscribe and share it with those for whom you think will be helpful. The seventh myth is, if it's meant to be, it will happen. This ties actually very well with the previous one about believing that you're that person, you're that guy, you're that gal, but it's not enough to just believe it. Again, your actions have to flow from it. Or I'll just manifest and believe in it and it'll happen only if I do that. Do not wallow in inaction. If you believe you're that guy, then you're going to go out and you're going to get those rejections when you apply to these things and when you bring ideas to these important tables. Because you believe you're that guy, you're not going to be shaken by those rejections and say, nah, someone's going to believe in me one day and they're going to see. If you believe you're that gal, when you propose something to this person of this idea of this potential product that's going to change how women view skincare for the rest of your generation, you're going to believe that you're that gal, and it's going to lead you to being okay with the rejections, being okay with being in the phase of obscurity when your stuff is not going as viral as you think it would be early on, but you believe that because you're her, it's going to happen eventually. So don't wallow in inaction just because you believe it, because beliefs are always followed by actions.